on video either. All right, Ms. Houlahan, you're up.
Thank you. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Excellent, thanks. My questions have to do with the Taliban and particularly women. The Taliban are continuing to send a lot of mixed signals on whether women will be allowed to work or participate in social and economic activities, which of course directly impacts their ability of women and girls to access critical services and aid. So I was wondering if you could help me understand how can the United States and our international partners effectively or better engage the Taliban on principled humanitarian access, ensuring for the equitable distribution of humanitarian aid, particularly at this time when women and girls are confined to home due to insecurity and the Taliban's crackdowns?
That's a very good question, and unfortunately, I don't have a good answer. We've lost all ability, first of all, to really know how bad the situation is for women and girls, as well as a lot of other Afghans. But we also don't have much leverage. Now, the best thing I can say, Congresswoman, is we need to get the intel of what's going on. We can get that from the media that is there and other sources just to find out how good or how bad the Afghan Taliban are doing. We can't trust what they say. They're pretty good at PR this time around. But if we do any funding, and I'm not advocating that we give a dime to the Taliban government, so just know that. Remember, what do they want? And how do we ensure if we give them anything that they want, we get something in return? So I think it's going to have to be smart conditionality, strong conditionality, and we're going to have to be willing to say no if they're not living up to their commitments on a number of issues, including counterterrorism, human rights violations, etc. That's the best I can give you. We are in a very poor spot to try to help the women, the girls, and the average Afghans right now.
Yeah, I agree. That it definitely keeps me up at night. And I'm going to ask my second question and hopefully have time to ask a follow-up to this one. Secretary Blinken testified before us last month, and he announced that the State Department would appoint a special envoy to focus on Afghan women's issues. How do we make sure that that role is effective, given what we've just been talking about? And how can the U.S. advance accountability mechanisms to prevent harm to women and girls in other conflict-affected contexts?
Well, I hope whoever they appoint is aggressive and savvy and has the ability to call upon all the resources of the United States government to find out what is going on. And also, I hope that when that person, whoever it is, has the ability then to brief the secretary and brief Congress on a regular basis on what the problem is and to work out the solution. I hope it's not window dressing. You know, there are many ambassadors floating around this country who I think are more window dressing than reality. So you want to make certain whoever that person is, Congress interviews him. Congress finds out what is his brief, what is his authorities, can he find out, and then what's he going to do with the information? So pull the thread. I think it's a great idea as special ambassador, just as long as the special ambassador does something and has the ability to do something.
And with the last waning seconds of my time, I'm wondering, you mentioned, don't give something without getting something in return. If for whatever reason we move forward with support or direct money to the Taliban-led government, what would be an example or two or three of what you would think of in terms of getting something in return?
Well, if they want to access, let's say, to the $8 billion we froze in the Federal Reserve, you would want to get an assurance that is verifiable by either U.S. government or an international body that they are respecting the rights of women. That means somebody on the ground with the ability, just like weapons inspectors we've used in the past. I remember when we gave money to the former Soviet Union, right before the collapse and after the collapse, on nuclear proliferation and other issues. We required them, the Russians and the former Soviet Union, to allow GAO inspectors in. Now, Russia is not the same as Afghanistan. The Taliban aren't the same as the Kremlin, but that's the type of thing. Okay, you want our money? Then inspectors come along with it.
Thank
You
you,
remember
sir.
when we did the Marshall Plan, after World War II, we had somebody from the US government sitting in every office in France, Germany, Belgium, etc., to ensure that the money got spent. Now, that's the old days. You can do it with technology now a lot better than having somebody sit there. But you've got to have somebody out there to kick the tires who can actually independently determine if the Taliban are living up to their agreements.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time, and I yield back.
Thank you, Ms. Houlahan. Daryl, I